the kids to college, but instead my avatar has a really sick fit. Like, the trade-off. I feel like when the program started, it was supposed to be, kind of like the cream of the crop, like the community leaders who had built up communities, who were already hosting meetups, who had the type of communities that Niantic wanted out there. People that, are following like TOS, diverse communities, welcoming communities. And when the check-in number things started happening, and there seemed to be a real change to just getting as many communities and community ambassadors as there could be, no matter what, I definitely noticed a big change. And that's not to say that newer community ambassadors aren't good and that their communities aren't great. It just definitely, I felt a big change when it shifted from the Sylph system, because it was such a slog. You really had to want it to go through that. I remember bribing my kids with Taco Bell to get them to participate in Sylph Cups. Like, it was just such it was such a nice. So I'm glad that you guys, like, no one has to do that anymore. But like, I've met people who are community ambassadors who didn't even really play the game before applying. They made their community so they could be community ambassadors because they didn't want anyone else in their community to be the community ambassador. Like, that's weird. That's really gross. If it's just like so you have some sort of power and people think that you're important, like, that's not what being a community ambassador is. You are no more special than any other player. You don't get insider information. You don't get paid. There's pressure to host. Like, you should love your community, and there are perks to being a community ambassador for your community. It should be about everyone and not just you. You are the volunteer for your community. You're not a volunteer for Niantic. You're representing your people, your tribe of players. And yeah, I've met people and I've heard a lot about people applying just so they can get, like, quote unquote free stuff, or just so they could be the boss. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm so glad I have that Discord muted right now.
Is it
'Cause I'll be
blowing up?
honest, well, I mean, I'm not sure. I will only take a look at the Discord if there's like an announcement, be it from our community managers or say like the guys here will be like, oh, something's going on. Have you seen this? And I'll be like, oh, let me take a look, and I'll run right in.
Yeah.
The most recent blow up, I would have to say, is just say that.
I didn't
I
even
didn't
hear
hear
it.
what it was. I feel
I
like
think
I
that's a
missed
good thing.
out. It may I know that something happened earlier. I'm still making graphics, and the person who took over for me posted it. He never like puts it. I made it, which I think he's trying to like protect me. But it was blurry, and I guess he like got snappy with people who were like, "It's blurry." He's like, "Then don't upload it or something." And if someone sent me a screenshot, I know, oops. But they were like, maybe like talk to him, and so I got it settled down. But they said that, yeah, there's been like a lot of interpersonal conflict in the
Mhm,
server still.
definitely.
Like, and I
And
just feel
yeah,
like throwing.
I
What
stopped
was that?
posting graphics myself there. So
Yeah, it's a bummer. I love making the graphics still. Like, even if I'm not going to host meetups or attend every meetup, like, that was something that I took a lot of like personal pleasure in doing. So I'm going to keep doing it. But yeah, I may not have him share anymore. I'll just put him on like my Blue Sky or something. But um, yeah, I think that adding in a bunch of new community ambassadors, especially right before a Nova tour, that's just kind of adding more fuel to the fire of conflict.
mhm.
They always do that. They always add like a big bunch of community ambassadors right before a big meetup, right before the community managers have to travel, and they're not like online to actually kind of police and monitor things. And I know that the moderators don't have a lot of power. They're basically just supposed to like try to like diffuse the situation, which I don't know, when there's so many like bad apples, if you're just trying to cover it with your hand, like, that's not going to do anything. Like, they need to be like yanked down, tossed.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, no, I agree.
I'm
Because
sorry.
not only was
Actually,
the way. Go
Blue,
ahead,
I'm
Ghost.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but going back to the topic where people want to try to become community ambassadors for the power, it's just a message for all of them. You're a scum for that. Because as a community ambassador, you do a lot for your community. there's a lot that we go through for all this stuff. You know, it is our money out of our pockets, not Niantic's pockets. So I totally understand you. I understand where you're coming from, Cynthia. It's also a pleasure to meet you finally for once. I've heard a lot of good things about you. Oh, Christina, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think, yeah. I assumed you were
I
talking
was about to
Hey,
call that
hey,
out
I already knew
too.
everybody
Like,
else.
did you
I
call her
know.
Cynthia?
Hey,
I did dress up as Cynthia for Halloween, so I mean,
no,
maybe you just sensed
I
it.
apologize. I apologize for that.
It's okay. It's okay.
But there's always been good things about you. I've always heard good things about you, nothing negative. And yeah, for everybody just doing it for the power, there's no such thing as power. It's just we sacrifice a lot for our community. We want our community to enjoy the game as we do, because I still
Yeah.
do. I still do to this day. But I understand those bad players, and I muted my Discord too for the CAs of that one situation we had with the other state that I'm not gonna announce again, and
That must
also
have been
Blue.
after I left.
Yeah,
It
so
was.
Blue
Oh,
was the one
jeez.
that did tell me one time. I guess she saw me typing. She's like,
I kept seeing you
"Stop."
typing. I had to literally
She's-
go DM Ghost and be
Mhm.
like, "Stop it! Like, just do
I
not
had
say
a
what you want to
message.
say."
I had a really bad message already written down, but then when I saw Blue's message, I was like, okay, never mind. But yeah, sorry. Okay, Blue,
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm so sorry.
We're gonna see you in a
sure it'll
couple
be
weeks,
nice.
right?
I'm not coming
You
anymore.
aren't? Oh
I
no.
know. I have my ticket still. I felt guilty about it, just because of the fires and there's mudslides and the world feels really tense right now. Like
Mhm.
now that I'm not having to like make pins and stuff, I'm like vacuum sealing powdered milk and like trying to figure out like an escape route from like my house to Canada and stuff. So, uh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll change my mind and just randomly pop up, but as of right now, I don't. I canceled my hotel. I never booked a flight. I still have my ticket, so we'll see.
Well,
But
if you
yeah,
did decide, Christina, like we would really like to join you up on the Nova tour. So
that would be fun.
Just so you know, before the 23rd, if you can't make it, you could actually get it refunded.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's
23rd
just
is my
true.
birthday
Mhm.
too. Like I've always done like
Well,
my birthday, or like part of the in-person tours. Like that's been part of like my birthday gift to myself.
you
So,
have to come now.
yep, I could have been 41 in LA, but I know.
oh,
Maybe we'll see.
Birthday
We'll
dinner. You need to come now.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you
Yeah,
can
somebody asked
still
if I would be there +1 for it, and I was just like, no, I don't think so.
I
still
think at
stay
this
at my parents'
point,
house if you don't have a place.
Yeah, I know Tara really wants to go. I was just like, man, like as a Canadian, like you really want to spend money in this country right now. But yeah, if Tara goes, I'll go. So convince Tara, and then I'll
Okay,
show
we'll
up.
work on it.
You gotta work on it
oh,
now.
okay,
I'll work on
Yeah,
that
okay.
one.
yeah,
We gotta get Tara now.
yeah, yeah.
Get
You
her on the
gotta
call.
get her.
Get her on the call right now.
Oh, I could
Just a
try.
moment.
Yeah, get her on the call right now. We got
You guys
10
need to
minutes
do
for
an
her.
interview with her.
We will.
She's
We definitely will.
yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, she's amazing.
She kind
Super
of
like
rolled her eyes at me when I said the podcast idea at first, so it might take a little bit of like, talking into, but I think after she sees you on here, that's probably going to help.
I
Yeah,
haven't
you
told
know
her that I
what?
was going
Yeah.
to do this. Yeah, I need to let her know. There's so much like Pokemon Go drama in the community ambassador program, and
Mhm.
like with all of them in the server, and then in like the little like side servers the community ambassadors have, but also just like in their actual like state or even county or even city. A lot of like the Canadian stuff, it feels like a soap opera. I kind of almost love it like a little bit. Like that happened. The community ambassadors getting kicked out happened before I left, and like that big kind of thing. And I was just like, I knew a lot of the stuff behind the scenes because people from there had been reaching out to me. I was like, I'm like abroad in Oregon. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, take it to Brandon. But like, God, it felt very like loser Game of Thrones. I needed that at that point in time in my life.
Discount Metro.
Yeah, like if you're like threatening to like kill people because they hosted a meetup like in the same park that you're in, like, oh man, like yeah, loser Game of Thrones for sure. Yeah, yeah. There's been lots of death threats. There's oh my God, I have so many stories. I haven't gotten the death
We
threats.
have time for like 3 stories, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stories. I
You,
I
you
always
said
try to
under
like
3 hours. You said under 3 hours. Okay, we got
I
2
don't know how
hours
long
still.
it's been. We're 2 hours in?
No,
No,
1 hour.
No,
hour.
no, no.
Okay, I was gonna be like, wow, time
So
really
we still have you
flew.
for 2 more if you're okay with that.
No.
I want stories.
I'm not doing anything right now. I'm gonna go finish watching season 3 of The Handmaid's Tale again and like freaking myself out after this. So and eating Ben and Jerry's with my dog. So yeah, I'm good. Any questions? Here to answer, as
I
long as
did.
there isn't an NDA. I always tried to like befriend like the kind of like outcast community ambassadors or the ones that like looked like or sounded like they were having a hard time. Uh, I feel like it takes a special type of person to want to be a community ambassador. I feel like we're all, sorry for generalizing, a bit crazy.
Oh yeah.
I think that we all like.
Lou.
I'm sure I'm pretty obviously like neurodivergent and autistic, and I have no stranger danger at all. So like if I see somebody, I'm like, we're best friends. Let me tell you everything about me. Tell me everything about you. Oh, you need something? Like, yeah, I'll wire you $500. And it often blows up in my face. My 41st year on this planet will hopefully be the year of like healthy boundaries. I'm trying to do that with stepping away from the community ambassador program, but like I can't ever do anything kind of half-assed. Like everything's always like to 110 right away. And that's made some really weird relationships with community ambassadors and with community members, and with content creators and with editors and moderators for Pokemon Go websites. And yeah, just I got stories. I got stories. Stories. Yeah, it was a hell of a couple of years.
Now, with your experience, if you could redo the things again, what would you? How would you do it
Oh my
to
gosh.
make it not as stressful?
I definitely would have muted the server a long, long time ago. I definitely would have set up boundaries with community members and with other community ambassadors. I wouldn't have put myself out there as much as I did. I always want to be helpful, even if I don't know what I'm doing and I won't be of any help and I'm just in the way. Or if I am in a position where I really need to be focusing on myself and my family or my health or whatever, and I still like was trying to be helpful at all times. And there's plenty of people who could have done what I was doing, but I felt like it had to be me. Like nobody else would do it. And that was BS. Like there are plenty of wonderful community you guys are all wonderful community ambassadors. So I definitely, yeah, I would have avoided that server like the plague. I would have set boundaries. I would have probably tried to recruit reliable helpers in my community. There are a lot of really great players that have tried to help, but I've noticed, I don't know if this is something that other community ambassadors experience, but there's always somebody who's really gung-ho to help out, and they help out with one meetup or like helping to prep for one event, and then they just disappear into the nether, or they want to become a moderator because they're super involved in the community online. And then as soon as they become one, drama starts because they're like, well, I'm the sheriff now. And it always felt like more stress than it was worth to have a lot of the helpers that I've had over the years. I have a bad picker for sure. And not to say there aren't wonderful community members that I have one named Tyler who is taking over hosting a lot of the meetups, and he's a godsend. But I definitely would have put more effort into making sure the people helping with my meetups and with my online community were solid people who weren't spoofing, who weren't using this to hit on women, who weren't being like jerks at raids and telling people that if they didn't have all maxed out counters that were like top tier that they couldn't join the raid. Which these are all things that like actually like happened. And yeah, I think when you're the community ambassador, you have to kind of be like the boss, and I'm not good at that. I wish I would have found a way to do that. And I wish I would have been firmer about kicking people out of my community if they were jerks. Because if people weren't using slurs or cussing or being like grossly inappropriate and they weren't breaking terms of service, I let a lot of things slide because I was like, well, they come to the meetups and like maybe they'll be different next time. And they said they were sorry. And it made the meetups, a lot of the meetups feel really stressful for me. And I felt like I had to be a buffer. Like, okay, like this person is just really aggressive. They think they know everything. I have to get them ready ahead of time through DM, like, this is the behavior I expect. Like, let's hang out and like be close together. That way, if you start feeling like you're irritated, you can tell me and I'll try to like diffuse the situation. And that's not something I wanted to do. That's not something I should have to do. Yeah, I should have just been like, okay, make your own group or find a different group, or I'll send you some remote invites. Because yeah, it definitely added a lot of stress to the whole process. Could have sent the kids to college, but instead my avatar has a really sick fit. Like, the trade-off.
Put a voice over it. I spent $1.
Yeah, my avatar has a better wardrobe than I do. Like, I just wear black all day, and like it has literally every item of clothing, and now it has every item for like either gender fit. So, oh, I am stupid. I am ashamed.
It's just
But
sad that I'm over here thinking about it like, hi, sweetie, we could have had that trip to Hawaii, but I needed to talk some mask.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna share this story. This is a very shameful story, but I will speak my piece. So Go Fest in person, New York City. I went last year. It was very expensive. There was no way I would have been able to book the flight, book the hotel, and everything else without letting my husband know. So I told him, wouldn't it be romantic if since we didn't do a honeymoon, we were broke when we first got married, if we did a honeymoon to New York City for the 4th of July? Um, he did not know we would be going to Go Fest. He did not know that he had an account that he played on that he stopped playing on like in 2018. I bought a ticket for it. I made sure to get him one too. He was so mad. And I tried to do things with him. Like there was like sightseeing stuff that he wanted to do and touristy stuff. But the weather in New York City was horrible. I did Saturday Go Fest in Park, and there was a horrible thunderstorm. And standing under a tree with him while there was lightning directly overhead, soaking wet before the event even started, and then trying to convince him that we had to spend 4 hours in the park to complete all these tasks, and we had to party up and everything else when we were on our romantic honeymoon makeup. Oh yeah, that was a rock bottom moment for sure. That was the only in-person event he's ever gone to with me. He does not like Pokemon Go. He tolerated it, and me being a community ambassador. But yeah, that he was so mad. And then we went to dinner one night, and I snuck out so I could send remote raid invites for Necrozma to people in my community. I told him I had to go to the bathroom. Sorry, honey, if you're watching this. Yeah, like all the stupid things that I did when I should have just been like enjoying the experience of being in New York City, flying from Oregon, like this very expensive trip, away from my kids. Or that was like the longest I've ever been away from my kids. And yeah, instead I'm standing in the rain outside while my husband's waiting to order dinner because there was an Necrozma that popped up, and nobody in the community wants to wait a week to get it themselves at Global. So yeah, I don't know if I'm the only community ambassador that did that. Sort of just absolutely ridiculous stuff, but I don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah, not gonna do it anymore. Yeah, I was planning on doing it if I went to Nova, like letting my community know, like, oh, if you want some like Curum raid pass or remote raid invites, but I don't have to worry about it now. I'm gonna be good, unless Tara goes, and then I'm gonna have to. Yeah, yeah. I know that there were a few other community ambassadors that left or were like fired around the time that I left. I've talked to a lot of them, and like just seeing the shared experience of like the stress of it and the feeling like you're kind of thrown in with no guidance when you thought that as soon as you became a community ambassador, things were going to get easier. Like you were already hosting the meetups, but now you were going to have support. That's not how it works. That is not how it works at all. Like, I don't care how many patches I got sent. It didn't make up for the fact that there were like a lot of meetups that I would leave like sobbing because I was miserable and I felt like there was nobody at Niantic that could help me or would help me. And I was making all this money for them by hosting another meetup, and people were buying raid passes or tickets or incubators or whatever. And I never wanted any financial compensation, but I wanted there to be more connection between Niantic and myself and the community ambassadors. I don't think it's fair for 3 community managers to be expected to now be the person for 2,000 community ambassadors around the world. Like, that's not fair to them. And I have so much respect for them. I didn't understand their jobs. I was really angry and frustrated, like probably the first year and a half that I was a community ambassador, because I was like, what are they even doing? Like, isn't this just their job to like manage us? No, it's just like a small fraction of things that they're expected to do. They're not paid more because there's community ambassadors. Like, it's an expectation of their job that they will keep the program growing and going. There's no way 3 people can handle 2,000 people, especially with, everybody's like different cultural background, and the fact that like a lot of community ambassadors are a little socially awkward, or like me, they're like super loud and like have no limits. Like, having to manage all of that while also trying to diffuse like the anger that a lot of community ambassadors have, either legitimately, or there's always complainers, no matter what. But trying to find a way to get the information out to community ambassadors when they often don't know it until right before, and then having to deal with the backlash from community ambassadors saying like, Niantic sucks, I hate this game, I'm not going to retire or resign, I'm going to keep doing this just so I can keep posting here about how much I hate Niantic, and then that bringing down like the mood of the entire server, because it did. Like, and it is still, apparently. I don't know. Niantic is making money. The community ambassadors are keeping the game going in a lot of communities, and they're getting people to spend money. Like, that's not part of it, but it happens. Like, if you're hosting meetups, a lot of them you have to pay money to keep playing for the whole time. So Niantic, like, some support would be great for the community ambassadors. As
All
somebody,
we're asking for
yeah.
is a voice. That's all
Yeah,
we're asking for. Support
Like-
and a voice.
at least 5 more community managers, I think, would be really, really great. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And
Speaking of good, let's talk about like, have there been any instance where Niantic has provided really helpful guidance? you
so,
think?
not Niantic necessarily, but a Niantic employee. I went through something really hard last year, and like, it took a major toll on my mental health. And a Niantic employee, who's a community manager, like literally pulled me back from like the brink, and at person to person sort of thing, not like a Pokemon Go sort of thing. So, just an outstanding human being. Like, I've been difficult. I'm obviously super opinionated, and I don't hold back like anywhere on anything. And this person like really came through for me in a way that I didn't expect. And yeah, it was amazing. Beyond that, I I liked they made the changes to raid hour initially, where it was 2 30-minute blocks. I know that that was something that community ambassadors had asked for. So like, finally getting something where like, this has been a long time suggestion that lots of community ambassadors brought up, and then having Niantic actually implement it based off of community ambassadors' requests. That was really cool. I don't like the 5-minute cooldown, but I understand that they have to do it in order to make the raids work. I still think it's better than the hour-long raids. I know a lot of players that play in like a really small play space. It's much better for them. They're able to get in more raids, or they don't have to venture off into maybe darker areas, or areas that aren't safe for pedestrians. So that's awesome. Like, good job, Niantic, on that one. I think that's super cool. And like I said, I loved the pins. I thought having something, it's a little thing, but everybody likes a pin. And having it be exclusive for community ambassadors, that was really cool. I also love the community service, like collaborations. Like, even if you don't win a grant, it's really nice that Niantic appreciates things that communities probably are already doing. Like, my community does food drives regularly and cleanups, but like, knowing that like Niantic is giving ideas and trying to be really supportive of that sort of thing, I think that's great.
But what Christina was saying, that the time and effort that we're putting, this is a message for like our members. Like, you guys gotta understand, we do a lot, and we do take a lot of our time. Minding 4 out of 5 of us in this talk right now, we have kids. I know, Blue, you have your cats.
Those are kids.
They are kids, yes.
So we do have a separate life besides Pokemon Go. We have our kids, we have our partner, we have a separate life. But yet, we still make the time for our members. That way they can enjoy the game. That way it's not so boring, This is why we do this for you guys. Just that message. We do it for you.
Mhm.
That's what I do. I do it for my community because I got a lot of respect for mine. I got a lot of love for my admins. I got a lot of love for all the local players that actually come pretty much every event for my event. I got a lot of love for everybody. I really do. And we do take our time. It does take a lot of our time. And obviously, Christina, you ran out of fuel.
Oh, yeah.
You ran out of fuel.
It wasn't. I know what was said after I left, that it was just burnout. It wasn't just burnout. Like half of it was burnout. But the thing that was like the tipping point was just that there were a few community ambassadors who were really unpleasant, and nothing was being done about it. And I'd had enough. That was when I was like, okay, Leo, like I'm serious. Like I'm done. Put in my replacement right now. I'm not kidding. I did on Thanksgiving because I knew the other two community managers would be out, but I had tried back in, I believe, September to resign, and they're like, oh yeah, it just takes a little bit of time. Just be patient. And like, I got talked out of it. And then it was, I think, late October, and I was like, I'm really done. Like, I need to be out. I'm getting really angry. I feel really negative. I feel negative about the game, feel negative about the other community ambassadors. I'm feeling resentful to my community when they just don't understand that I have a life and I can't be at every meetup. And like, I felt hurt that I would get angry messages because there weren't check-in rewards for this meetup because I wasn't there. And that made me feel like I had to be everywhere. And that led to resentment. And that's not why I started my community. That's not why I became a community ambassador. It really turned everything that I had that was positive about the whole experience. It just flipped it into something that really made me sad. And then on top of that, the server being a really negative place, a few really bad, like very nasty people in there. And I'm not going to name them, but like there's a man who's incredibly rude, like all the time. And I was told repeatedly that it's just a cultural thing, but that's not okay for somebody to talk down to women all the time. Another one who literally complained about every single thing and wouldn't let it go. And then there was like bigotry too. And like the election had happened. I was in some other like a little side community ambassador servers. There was such disgusting language used after the election. I was just like, okay, like I can't, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't fun anymore. Like the world got really serious really quick. So I was like, I told Kestrel, when I talked to Kestrel after I was like really out, Kestrel was incredibly kind to me and sent a very lovely message about like how much my involvement meant to them and to the community. And I just like, I loved it for a long time, but like this needs to change. Like this, I know a lot of trans community ambassadors who felt really ignored and really rejected, and who felt like the treatment that they were getting in the community ambassador program and the server was unfair, and they were already dealing with a lot just in their life. And then having something that's supposed to be fun, like being a community ambassador, like Pokemon Go, turn into another space where they're being villainized or victimized. I just, yeah, I just couldn't put up with it anymore. It was a choice to be a community ambassador, and I wouldn't have put up with that at a job I would have left if it was an actual job, and I would have been making money. So if I'm doing this for free and spending money on it, I had to stand on business. I had to get out. So yes, you guys know the true backstory. Half of it was burnout. That was a long time. If the election hadn't happened, and if the discussion in the North American channel hadn't happened, I probably would have stuck it out at least in a couple more months. But after that, I knew I was out for sure. So.
I think in Pokemon, politics should just be out. We shouldn't be talking about politics. I'm sorry. It's just we all had different opinions on politics, obviously. Obviously. But when it comes to these servers, anywhere you do Campfire, whatever it is you use, Discord, keep politics out. That has to be on. We're not here for that. We're here to enjoy Pokemon. I mean, as you can see, most of us are actual adults, and we grew up as younglings. Pokemon. That's what we're doing. If you want to talk about politics, we're going to talk about Pokemon. Which ones are better, fire or water? You know, that's what we're gonna discuss. You know, I dislike Eevees. Sorry. You know. All right. Yeah. You want to talk about it? Let's do it.
Well, now
I do think they're overrated.
you're throwing shots now.
I know.